pour les 10, les 5, les 10 dernières minutes et les 30 dernières secondes de la présentation. Lors des 10 dernières secondes du discours, j'indiquerai à l'aide de mes deux mains le nombre de secondes restantes. Et l'équipe n'ayant pas terminé sa présentation après 20 minutes se verra arrêtée afin de passer à la période de questions. La période de questions d'une durée maximale de 5 minutes est allouée au jury à la fin de la présentation. Je tiens à rappeler au jury qu'il est obligatoire de poser au moins une question lors de cette période. Each team has 20 minutes to present its case to the judges. I will show you a board for the 10, the 5, and the last 2 minutes, including the last 30 seconds of the presentation. During the last 10 seconds of the speech, I will indicate by means of my two hands the numbers of remaining seconds. A team not having ended its presentation after 20 minutes will be stopped to move on to the period of question. A period of question of a maximum duration of 5 minutes is assigned to the jury at the end of the presentation. I would like to remind the jury that it's mandatory to ask at least one question during this period. I will invite the judges to introduce themselves and then the team can begin. J'invite maintenant les juges à se présenter et vous pouvez ensuite débuter.
Bonjour, Angélique Bédard, auditrice chez Raymond Chabot.
Bonjour, Tania Dubé, chargée d'enseignement à l'Université Laval.
D'Angélina, je suis au coup de revient chez Excel d'Or.
Bonjour, Alex Louf, conseiller hors de CPA du Québec.
Justin Frappier, vérificateur chez Raymond Chabot Thornton.
Donc, je vais commencer. Donc, avant de commencer, on voudrait juste vous dire que la présentation sera faite en anglais. Le début et la fin de la présentation sera en français. Et puis, toutes les questions que vous pouvez poser, vous pouvez les faire dans les deux langues. Donc, Monsieur Sénéchal, Mesdames, Messieurs, c'est avec grand plaisir qu'on est ici aujourd'hui pour discuter avec vous de l'entreprise qui est en fait un pilier de votre région et de votre localité, qui est à l'image du Québec, en fait, qui a été bâti en entrepreneuriat et c'est vraiment une belle entreprise que vous avez. Donc, aujourd'hui, on va faire une petite mise en contexte. On va voir à l'acquisition qui est proposée par M. Sénéchal et la machine qui pourrait complémenter. L'analyse des coûts de revient. On va regarder les ressources humaines, on va faire une analyse financière et revoir les faits saillants de la présentation. Donc, comme je vous disais, votre entreprise familiale a été fondée en 1976, une très belle entreprise qui est en croissance constante, mais qui fait présentement, qui est un petit peu en difficulté au niveau des marges nettes et brutes. Donc, on a vu une difficulté à ce moment-là. Et au Québec, on voit que c'est un vrai champ de bataille dans l'industrie du plastique et donc vous avez beaucoup de compétition qui va venir gruger dans votre marché. On voit que le marché actuellement prend un virage vert, mais que c'est difficile de s'adapter à ce virage à travers la qualité qu'on y observe. Donc, on voit que votre entreprise doit se conformer aux normes à capital fermé comptable. On a certains ratios bancaires à prendre en charge et une marge brute interne de 12 % à valider. Donc, je le passe à ma collègue Linda qui va voir avec vous pour l'analyse de certains points.
So we're going to jump right into the analysis with, first of all, the acquisition and also as well as the machinery. And then I'll pass it on to my colleague that's going to talk about the short-term contract as well as the ISO certification. Okay, so first of all, acquisition of Moulage. We're going to look at both sides of the coin, so the advantages as well as disadvantages. So to the acquisition of Moulage, the first advantage is it already possesses the ISO certification that we are looking for. So not only by acquiring the Moulage, we're going to have access to their assets, but more importantly to their intangible assets such as their brain power, their knowledge, and that's going to ensure also a smooth operation for us in order for us to obtain our own very own ISO certification in the near future. Same thing for HR knowledge. As you know, right now we have some internal HR issues that by acquiring the sub, we can also have some discussion about it, and it's going to also benefit us from the acquisition. Next, diversification in the market. So by acquiring Moulage, not only our products are going to expand, but also our clients, our potential clients, we're going to be more able to fulfill their needs. And by looking at the financials of Moulage, we see that they have a very good liquidity. And as by looking at the market trends, we see that there is a strong demand of the products for moulage. So we could see right away that there's going to be a high possibility of generate future sales. As for disadvantages, we could see that moulage has a really low asset turnover of approximately 2.33 compared to the market average of 3. So we could say that moulage assets are probably a bit more obsolete than the industry average, and that in the future years we have to do something about it, either sell them or like further depreciate them. Also, with every acquisition and consolidation, there might be some employee integration risks that we also have to take into consideration. But looking at the advantages and disadvantages, we still think that we should keep going with the acquisition, and Gabriel is going to give you guys the details of the financials and how it's going to go on. So in terms of the machinery, same thing. The machinery really allows us to enlarge the scale of the products that we already have. So this is really good for clients retention, so the clients that we already have. It's also a better use of the recycled polymer materials. So this is really good for our PR initiative of being more eco-friendly and being more eco-conscious. And there's also a strong client demand for this kind of technology. However, in terms of disadvantages, so there's going to be a really big learning curve for the employees to understand this kind of machinery, as it was discovered in Europe, and they might not be quite familiar with the go-abouts of the machine. And this is more of an internal so expansion of the products that we already have, rather than a market diversification and to increase our market share. But we still think that it is a good opportunity for us to purchase the machinery as well as the acquisition. So now I'm going to pass it on to Alana.
Thank you. So one of the possibilities we've looked into in order to increase our profitability in the future is a short-term contract with Multiplastic, which could turn into a long-term contract. This is a very good company to look into because as a client, because we expect them to expand in the future, which means that while it is a short-term contract now, only for 4,000 machine hours, there's a very high possibility that it will increase later. Given that we're currently not expanding as much as we expect, this is a good option. We have unused capacity to use on this contract. There's potential for future sales, as I mentioned. There's a positive return, and it would give a good impression to the employees to show we are trying to improve our profitability in order to give you a better bonus either this year or next year. Unfortunately, we do have a required rate of return, a required gross margin of 12% imposed on us by the bank. And as I will explain soon, the overall gross margin, given all of our products, if we accept this contract, is 11%, almost 12%, but not quite. This means that if we go with this contract, we will not reach our 12% required return. The question is there a possibility to get around this? There are two options. Basically, we can talk to the bank, explain that we would only be a bit under this 12% required return, and there is a possibility that they will forgive us this once for being a bit lower. It is a good opportunity for us as well as for them. If we get this contract and it turns into a bigger contract, we can get better sales in the future, expand, which would require probably more debt, which is better revenues for the bank. So it is possible that they forgive us this once, assuming that we would get better profitability in the future. The second option is to explain to Multiplastics that we do need to increase our prices just a bit in order to reach this 12% return. It isn't much, so it is a possibility. We do believe, however, that the short-term contract is a very good option for the firm, and we recommend that we go with it. As you see in the numbers, the first column is just the new contract itself. Whether we use recycled or new products, it doesn't matter. It's the same gross margin of 3%. However, the problem is that we only have 3,000 available machine hours this year, and the short-term contract is for 4,000. So the question is, do we go with 3,000 hours given the available capacity that we have, or do we forgo 1,000 machine hours from another contract and give it to this contract? Short-term profitability-wise, it is better to go with the 3,000 machine hours because the margin on these 1,000 hours are much lower than our other contracts. So it's better to go with our other contracts and just give them the excess capacity. The question is long-term, what is better for us? We believe that it is better to go with the 3,000 hours given that we're giving them a very steep discount. So we could explain that it is a very steep discount, one-time discount that we would provide to them just to get them to see our products and get them into our company. And in the future, expect higher prices, higher profit margins, and still keep them because they've tried out our product. So we recommend going with 3,000 machine hours for this contract in the future and understanding that the gross margin will increase. And this is, once again, assuming that the bank agrees to this 11.3% return rather than a 12% return or a slightly higher price. A second idea that was brought up is an ISO certification. Now, our company, we want to return to higher profitability. One problem is that some of our customers aren't happy with us not having certification from ISO. So ISO 9001 certification is being requested by our clients. Some of our clients are not accepting contracts with us because we do not have it. And it would really increase the value of the shares. Many of our managers agree that it is a good thing to do, that we should have done it years ago. So there are many arguments for it. Against it, it would give more work for our employees who are currently not happy because they did not get their bonus. However, we do already meet the requirements in terms of processes and products, which means there isn't that much extra work to do. It would also cost $76,000. The numbers we can provide later. Basically, we assumed 50,000 costs given and about 45 extra hours of work for 45 employees. And it came out to, minus the government grant, and it came out to 76,000. We do recommend going with it, trying it out for at least a year. One of our managers, Jacques, the operations director, explained that he does expect to get better returns than expenses. And we can always review this next year and see if it's worth it or not. I will now pass it on to Linda to look over HR issues.
Okay. So the first issue is the bonus incentive. We think that with all the projects that we're going to be undertaking this year, we will effectively increase the company's profit, and therefore it is an immediate issue to give our employees the bonus that we have promised them. We think that it's very important to reward employees and to let them know that their contribution to the growth of the company is noticed and will be rewarded. However, in the long term, we think that the current bonus plan needs some changes, and that the employees need some intrinsic motivations as well in order to better perform at the workplace. So the bonus plan. In order to find a perfect bonus plan for the employees, we have to see from the top and to see what exactly is the company's strategy. So here, for the employees working at factories, it's obviously to maximize productivity while without compromising the quality of the product offerings. So in turn, we think that desired behavior that should be reflected upon employees are to basically to maximize the manufacturing outputs. So in the incentive that go along with that desired behavior is to offer a bonus based on the volume output that they produce, so that it is something that they feel that they could control, and with only looking at the variable cost and not looking at the fixed cost in determining their bonus. So the bonus is going to be based on the planned budget amount of the volume produced with a margin of plus or minus 5%, and any uncontrollable factors such as unforeseeable breakdown of the machine or any unforeseeable new orders will be taken into considerations as well. So that way employees will feel that they're more in charge of their bonus, and that there's going to be a more direct link between the efforts that they put in and the monetary reward that they will receive. So in terms of employees retention, So a problem that we have noticed is that some of our most qualified workers are quitting our company and are trying to work at our competitors. So this is a very serious issue that we need to tackle. So with the revenge bonus plan, we hope that our employees will reconsidering their plan of leaving, but we also need to hire more workers to decrease the amount of unplanned extra shifts that we have been implemented in the past. We also try to include our more qualified employees into decision making, such as budget planning. And the budget planning process could be more from a down to top process rather than top down. And we could also offer training sessions to our employees to give them a chance to grow and to give them a chance to take into a more integral part of the company. And finally, recruitment initiatives. So campus recruitment of new graduates should be a big thing. We want to hire and attract our most top talents, and we think that by hiring directly into campus, it really increases our chances to meet the new students and to let them know about our company, what we do, our company culture. And we should have some of the internship programs during the peak season so that they know what it's like to work in our company, but also to help the workers with their hours, and some mentorship program for some in-depth guidance. Now I'll pass it on to Gabriel.
Perfect. So to look more in depth into the propositions that we've made, we want to look basically at the financials and see if it's worthwhile, even though there's strong qualitative points, just make sure that the impact is positive on financial statements. In terms of the machinery, the new machinery, what we find is that there's going to be an increase of $432,000 on the gross margin. There's going to be an impact, obviously, of the depreciation of the newly acquired machine and extra fixed costs. Now, these values don't take into consideration additional growth. They take into consideration the growth from the math, but no additional growth in terms of nominal numbers. And there's obviously the interest there that we find. So we see that there's a positive impact of acquiring the machine on these values. In terms of the consolidated income statement, this takes into account the values of your company, Mr. Sénéchal, in 2014, with no growth. Basically, we are assuming that only the growth generated by the new machine would be taken into consideration, and the sales of moulage, which have 6% growth that we've applied. We find that there's still, again, a positive growth on consolidated net income. And when we look at the ISO adjustment, this is more of a breakdown, but we see that we took into consideration the cost associated to that as well to make sure that the final numbers balance. And basically, we end up with a consolidated net income of $530,000 at the end of the 2015 year. In terms of the balance sheet, we were mostly looking at the impact of the machine and the debt that we've incurred, $2 million of debt, which is less than the prescribed maximum. And we see that we are suitable in terms of our ratio of 60% debt to equity, which remains met. Alana is going to look quickly at risks and mitigations that we are looking for.
So we've made a bunch of recommendations about how to improve the firm for the future. The question is, are they risk-free? We're going to say no, obviously, nothing is risk-free, but there are ways to mitigate the main risks. So 3 of the risks that we have looked into are acquisition. We are intending to acquire a company that involves inherent risks, such as, are the numbers that we are given correct? We do not have inside information, obviously, of this company. So do we know that there's no contingent liabilities, no off-balance sheet liabilities, anything that we don't know about that aren't in the numbers we are given? We want to know that there aren't too many of these risks involved. So we recommend an audit of this company, request it before paying for the company, just to make sure that the numbers we are given are correct and we can trust them and it is actually worth it for our company. The second also involves the acquisition. It's about consolidation. We're not only consolidating the books, we're also consolidating people. We're consolidating our employees, we're merging them together. Are they going to fit together? The question is, are our employees going to work well with their employees? Unfortunately, we can't necessarily tell beforehand, but we can do increased HR checks just to make sure that everything's going well and have them get more involved, maybe team working, exercises, something to get them to work better together. The third is about the ISO certification. So we did recommend getting the ISO 9001 certification. The question is this return going to be as good as we expect? Is it going to really exceed the costs? In order to, unfortunately, we would only know this later on, but we can do an assessment a year in just to see, is it actually worth it? What do our customers think? Are we better because we have it? Are we really giving them increased value because of this certification? If we are, definitely continue with it. Maybe look into getting the second certification, the 14,000 ISO certification. If not, then it is a sunk cost, but we will not expend more in the future, and then the cost there. So those are our risks and mitigation. I will pass it on to Gabrielle to conclude.
Donc, pour conclure, dans le fond, ce qu'on voulait faire avec toutes ces deux recommandations, c'est d'assurer qu'on couvre l'interne avec la nouvelle machine et qu'on fait de l'acquisition à l'externe avec cette deuxième machine.
Merci.
Vous avez 5 minutes de questions.
Merci pour votre présentation. Pouvez-vous nous résumer l'ensemble des projets que vous allez faire puis comment vous allez les financer?
Oui, donc en termes de financement, on avait suffisamment de liquidité à l'interne en 2014 pour générer environ 1,033 million et ensuite on avait 2 millions qu'on souhaite aller chercher en financement externe à la banque qu'on voit ici de new debt qu'on ajoute au long terme. Et donc ça vient en fait financer les deux propositions. Ça fait 3 points quelques millions, ça nous laisse 400 000 en liquidité, en plus de ce qu'on acquiert en termes de placement dans l'autre compagnie. Les projets, donc concrètement, ce qu'on veut faire, c'est on veut, oui, construire la nouvelle machine, s'assurer que ce produit-là, ça fonctionne et qu'on s'adapte à l'interne, mais on vient chercher aussi l'expertise qu'il y a dans la deuxième entreprise. Et puis, c'est en lançant ces deux lignes-là qu'on croit que la croissance, on était fortement conservateur dans nos chiffres, mais on croit que la croissance va pouvoir se dégager et en fait nous porter de l'avant à ce niveau-là pour ces deux fronts, si on veut.
Is the new machine a good investment? And why?
Well, I mean, qualitatively speaking, we think that it is because we think that it's a really great addition to, as we said, the scale of the product offering that we already have. So we already have a great deal expertise in that area. By acquiring the machine, we're gonna be able to offer more kind of products to our clients. So all sorts of plastic, you ask us, and we have it. So we think that it's indeed a great addition.
Financially?
In another point of view, the innovation in this industry is taken through new products. And this machine would allow us to innovate further through a new line of products. So it would add value to our firm.
Je vais renchérir pour la même question. Est-ce que financièrement, et je dis financièrement, est-ce que c'est intéressant? Est-ce qu'on va dégager une rentabilité au-delà de tous les autres avantages qualitatifs que vous voulez mentionner, qui sont notables, je vous l'accorde, mais au niveau financier, est-ce que ça donne quelque chose d'intéressant?
The financial value added, basically.
Je dois vous dire qu'on ne peut pas vous présenter un chiffre de net present value ou quelque chose du genre. Cependant, ce que je peux vous dire, c'est que les chiffres qui ont été utilisés au terme de l'utilisation de la machine étaient très bas. On a utilisé une utilisation de 65%. Et puis, on a en fait utilisé le chiffre de 95 de marge brute qui se dégage. Mais on voit qu'il y a quand même un optimisme et un consensus au sein de l'équipe de direction qui porte à croire qu'il y a encore plus de croissance qui pourrait être dégagée dans ce terme de produit-là. Donc, malheureusement, on ne peut pas vous présenter un chiffre NPV. de Value Added Financials, mais on peut vous dire qu'il y a quand même on voit qu'il y a quand même une bonne croissance au niveau de la marge nette et certainement au niveau de la marge brute qui nous porte à croire qu'une étude plus approfondie des finances serait positive à ce moment-là.
For the short-term contract,
Yes.
you mentioned that you wanted to go with a 3,000
Yes.
machine hour contract. What makes you think that the client's going to be ready to accept 3,000 instead of 4,000? Obviously, he has needs that require the 4,000 hours.
Yes, but given the price that we're giving them, if our margin is usually 11% for the vacuum products, 3% is a very low margin. He's getting a very good discount. So 1,000 could be required elsewhere, or if you can wait another few months until year end, we can provide it next year.
Following up on the short-term contract, if we accept a price, a given price with Multiplastic, that's going to be their benchmark for the negotiation. So what's your strategy for raising it up?
Yeah, so in the negotiation of a contract, we would explain that this is a very steep discount only for this first-time use. Many companies provide a discount on first-time use just to get clients to get interested in the product. Once they see that it's a good product, we would explain that we would explain the actual price.
Even though we're helping them out, right?
Yes.
Moi, c'était par rapport à mon âge. Jusqu'à quel prix qu'on a acheté l'entreprise de 2 millions? Est-ce que c'est un prix favorable? Est-ce que c'est défavorable? Est-ce que c'est un bon prix?
Est-ce que ça aurait été la période?